We're going to look at waterfall methodology out of the concept of project management. So, like we said yesterday, there are many. As a Scrum Master, you come into an organization, you find yourself being deployed to help teams that are using various ways of working to accomplish their work. Some might not even know what they are using, and it's not typical for you to even now say, okay, this is what you can tell them this is what I perceive you are using or not, or they may know. Some will even say they are agile, but by the time you start to dig to get them to study them, you find out that they are more of waterfall. So, but that's typical nowadays. So today is just for us as Scrum Masters to have a knowledge of what waterfall is all about. Yeah. So waterfall, as the name is just some call it model, some call it methodology, but model methodologies they could be quite different. But at the end of the day, methodology because it has a prescribed way of doing things. So that's why the methods are referred to that this is a method. You have to do it this way. You have to follow this step. And the name derives from water falling from staircase, for example. So if water is falling from a staircase, naturally, without a miracle or what have you, it is expected that all the drop of water will flow from the top staircase one by one. They must follow that staircase one by one till they get down. They will not omit anyone. So that's what the natural cause is. Or maybe there's a miracle somewhere or something happened. So that's where it gets its name, its nomenclature from. So waterfall is all about a sequential approach to product development. It emphasizes a logical progression of steps, said that similar to water flow over the edge of a cliff or this thing. So that's you must follow this one, you must do this one, you must do this one, you must do this one, you must check this one before this one can be done. So that's what is makes it waterfall. And this approach was developed in the mid 20th century, and then incorporated into the software engineering aspect. Typically, it was used for non-engineering and development before, but in the mid 20s, it got into the software development. And in the 1970 or thereabout, by Dr. Wisting, Rolls-Royce started to use it, and then it became popular by this Dr. Wisting in the year 1970 through a book he titled or Managing the Development of Larger Software System. So managing the development of large software system, and still is about the Rolls-Royce ways of doing things, that you must assemble this one, you must do this one before we go to this one. So it continues like that, and it got adopted into software development really by mainly in some US company, and then they started to use it in the 1980s and thereabouts to build software, but still it has to follow all the old pattern. That's just the main this thing about what the waterfall concept. It has to follow everything one after the other. So we'll be looking at those steps shortly. So, as I said, there are distinct endpoints or goals are set for each phase. of development and cannot be revisited after completion. So that's part of one of the drawbacks. So we've established it's a sequential process flow. You pre-plan and execute using format change control. So you could use format change control. It is heavily dependent on requirement estimated by early on scope. So you have to gather all your requirements. Then you need to know that you need to have them set. You need to have your budget. You need to have everything. And then, yeah. So typically it was used for construction, mass production. So when you already know that, what to produce, then you can now use waterfall to mass produce. So it's the same sequence, just go on and go on and go on like that. So, and it's heavily reliant on three principles. So by principle, we mean those things that must be for it to be called waterfall. So the first one is sequential structure, which we will be talking about. The structure, the sequence must be followed. And then it has heavy documentation. No, they call it robust documentation, but it's a very, it relies on heavy documentation. Just, for example, government parastatals, government departments that want to do project. We've had, say, for example, the HS2, I mean, what the railway they're just building. You know how long?
HS2.
Yeah, how long they've been planning, they'll be passing paper, they'll be spending billions of dollars. And that's even where things typically work in the UK. Because of if it was a project in Nigeria, 6 months down the line, it's just paperwork for medicine. Then again, take another 3 months for verification of those paperwork.
That looks like what they call bureaucracy.
Yes, it's bureaucracy. Waterfall is bureaucracy. Then it has minimal customer involvement. This is a very downside to it. It has minimal customer involvement, which will be seen as we go on. So these are the three principles that makes it when you check a project you are on and it's sequential. We are still in this phase. They are telling you that this is the phase we are in. We have not passed this phase. Then they are signing the document, business requirement document, business this one, up this one. They are doing, and where are the customers? Customers are just out there. They're not even consulting the customer. They are doing their own stuff. So, for example, the AHS2, they didn't consult the people are pushing back, but the government keep doing that. It's from the government. They're not. People keep pushing back that where are going to pass. There are graveyards there. There are this one there. Ancient landmark and what have you. But they do not care about what the customers are saying. It's just about the people building it. So in that regard, you just keep working. So this is just that grammatic presentation of what the phases are. So, for example, I have 4 or 5 diagrams of this such, which we have the requirement, we have the design, we have the implementation, we have the verification and maintenance. So, let me use pen. So here, this typical of maybe if you are designing maybe let's say, for example, you are designing a car. You gather all the requirements for the car. You gather all the requirements. And then after you gather all the requirements, at this stage, there's what we call sign off. Sign off in a sense that you tick all the boxes, you check that, okay, what the requirement that we've gathered, are they what the customer wants and this thing? If that is the case, there will be a sign off. sign off, so that nobody can come back after to say, no, this is not what we agreed on. There will be document this and that. So, so then we will now go to the design phase. This requirement that you've gathered, they will now do a sample design to show that, okay, from what we've gathered, this is what we are going to build and this thing. After that are approved again, there will be a sign-off. There will be a sign-off here. There will be another sign-off. Here again, you now start implementing this design. You now start expanding on this design. Then there will be another sign-off. You now do documentation for this thing that you have built. You maybe what we call manual now. Manual. There will also be the sign-off before you now deliver to the client. So do I have a better one? So this one again is another. So depending on how they break the phases. This one they're broken into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just the same thing, just depending on the kind of organization. So we have the requirement phase, you have you analyze the requirement, you also come and design, then you implement. By this implementation, they are implementing this design. They are building on this design. Yeah, and then you now come to testing. So maybe here now it concerns software. You now come to testing. You now deliver everything that you have built from here to here to the clients here. Then if there's need for maintenance, you now sign another maintenance agreement. So the one I like to, so this one breaks it down further. All are just the same thing. So project plan and estimation, requirement gathering. You create your BRD, business requirement document, business, clinical business, all this one. Maybe this can take two months. Then use case, functional specs, and this one they're trying to build a website and something like that. Here as well. Then you do your design specification. You now start to do your coding. Then you test this code that you built. You come and test it here. Then you now deploy. So all of this can take up to between 7 to 12 months. So in all of this diagram that I will stay with a bit. So this is what happens at the initial stage. We have the project manager, which we've talked about, and the client. So they sit down together to gather all the requirements, both of them. So within this phase, so each of this is a phase that we've said. There's what we call agility. They can be back and front. So the project manager say, okay, this is what you want, this is what you want, this you want this one, you want that one. The client say, no, remove this. Okay, we remove this. Okay, come back again. This is what you want, this is what you want, this is what you want, this is what you want. After the agreement, the client say, oh, fine. The project manager say, okay, there will be what? Sign off. So they'll be sign off here. They will sign it. They will now, and that's when you now call the team in. So maybe you want to build a car now. The project manager has taken the decision. They will now call the team, the automobile engineering, all the people that will build it, and then the PM and the client, they now sit down together to analyze what have been gathered, so that the client can further understand and see the clear picture. If at this page again, the client is in agreement, is fine, they will just have a sign off. Then this guy is now out of the picture. Is out of the picture now. Then we now go to our design phase. The architect, the people that will build, and the team, they keep building. They start to build. After architect has shown them what to build, the team goes to build. Then they come to validation. Validation is just like testing. Just like we've seen in the other this thing. Then they package it and then they deliver it to the client. So throughout all of this time, they don't go back to client at all. They don't go back to the client to say, what we're building, is it on track? Is it on? So that's one of the flaws of waterfall, which we've seen before. So this is just how waterfall methodology help to build a product. So these have been in existence. They've been using this for a while, and they're still using it. There's project that thrive on this. Don't get me wrong, it's still in existence, and even still very much used by. But now many people are shifting over to agile way of working because of some known flaws of this method. So this is what it is. Every phase, there's a sign off. So once you finish your requirement collection and you are here, you don't go back here. For you to go back here again, that becomes a new project. Money will, because that means you now need to raise a change request. So maybe the client forgot to add something there, and the client now remember and now comes back. We have validated this phase. We have done this thing. You want to add? That's a new project. Maybe they now call it 2.1. 2.1. So before it was 2, they will now call it 2.1. Add additional money, additional time. So that's what it is when you're running in waterfall. So this is just a description of the phases here. So for the requirement collection, the business gathers the system from the client. People involved are typically the project manager and the clients. When you analyze, you are evaluating the requirement, feasibility, and defining the scope. You also do it with the client, the project manager, the team that will be building, and the client. Then you now create a design. They create a design for proof of concept and what have you, creating system architecture and design and specification. The architect and the team, there goes out the client. Then when they are now building the actual product, it's the development team. Everybody's all out. Validation, testing the development, the developed product to ensure it meets requirement. Testing team within the team, and then packaging and delivering. Final deployment, delivered to the client and maintenance. That's when. So all of these can take, depending on the kind of project, between 6 months to 1 year to many years, so what have you not. And at the end of the day, most waterfall projects, they don't usually achieve their target date. They usually extend. So we're going to, so each of the phases now, so we have been discussing about what they are. So we just kind of break it down again to see. So for the requirement gathering phase, you show you capture all the requirements. There will be brainstorming and walk through to understand the requirement. Then you do requirement feasibility tests to ensure that the requirements are tested, are testable or not. You do all of these, but in most cases, you cannot get everything. So what about if something happens during the course of the whole project? But that, if you are deploying using waterfall, there's nothing you can do about it. This is what it is. So the documentation that comes in for signing is called requirement understanding documentation. They can call it that. You can call it PRD, whatever you, and this is what is signed on. Then the design phase. So as per all the requirements you've gathered at the requirement gathering phase, you now create a design. You capture the hardware, the software requirement, you do documentation for the design. Everybody sees it. Could be very voluminous again. It takes donkey years to finish, back and forth. After you finish and you certify everything, these are the deliverables. These are the documents that are signed off. We have high-level design document, low-level design document, which we get the sign off. Then, for you now come to the deployment phase where you now start to build the actual product. You build all the components. So within this building, you can integrate your codes. So code here is talking about if you are doing software, if you are building a hardware, you integrate your parts, you couple the parts together. Then you do a test to see that every part that you've coupled together is running fine. Then you also create a document, program unit, test case, and result. So the result of all the things you have done to prove that, okay, this is what we have done. Everybody sees it and everybody signs up on that one. Then you go to your system testing for software again. So this is where you now test all the old parts together. So what you've done before was the unit testing. Then here you now test all the old parts together, integrate the unit part test code, and test to make sure that it works as expected. Perform all the testing activities, functional and non-functional. So, but it's not even possible for you to finish performing all the tests because testing is inexhaustive. Testing is inexhaustive. For example, now our phone, can we say we have used 10% of all the features, all the phone that we are holding?
No.
And that means every day we are testing. So also is everything that is built out there. You cannot fully say this testing have been completely done because the way somebody else will use it is not the way another person will use it. And all are kind of different testing. But in Waterfall, it is assumed that testing has been done and what have you, and then we just carry on. Both especially non-functional. So non-functional testing are something like speed of the website, like something that are abstract. How do you test all those things? Like the speed, like the abstract, so in case of any anomaly, you report it and you go back to fix it. Track your progress on testing through the tools. Use traceability matrix. Yes, different tools that you can use. Then report your testing activities. Then here, what you have is you have your test cases, test report, defect report, then updated metrics. So all of these. So when you do your test case, you have your test case, you are a tester, you have your test case. Test case is what you want to test. So after you've tested it, you now have your test report. So within this test report, you have some that did not pass. So those are the defect report. Then you now go back again to do it. Then you now have an updated metric. So this updated metric is all of this done, and then maybe redo again. Then you have satisfaction, and then you now go to have it signed off. Then you now deploy. You now deploy to the customer, to the client. Make sure that okay, everything is working. You now deploy and say, customer, this is what we have built for you. This is how to use it. Make sure that the environment is set up. Make sure that there's no defect upon open. So, for example, you deploy for your TV. You have your manual that okay, this is how to use your TV. This is the manual. This is what all the testing that we've done. This is the part all put together. Deploy the application in respective environment. Perform a sanity check. My program manager, she likes this sanity check of 18. Oh, when I first joined, she's a German lady. She's kind of just dot your T's and cross your eyes.
I know.
And she makes some mistakes, but when it comes to you delivering, she wants you to do.
I know that.
So perform a sanity check in the environment after the application is deployed to ensure the application does not break. You cannot be sure the application might break at any time. So deliverables here are the user manual, then environmental definition and specification if there is any to go by. So after that, you might now sign a system maintenance. It's not often that this phase must go in. Some just collect their product and they go. So peradventure, there's a system maintenance phase that has been signed on, depending on how long. So you use the user manual and the list of production tickets and the list of new features to keep maintaining the what have been produced. So this maintenance could come even at times could be like a added feature to what have been produced. But I'm sure new packages, new scope, new price will be involved apart from the former project itself. So that's typically what waterfall is all about. So benefits of using this method. Is there any questions so far?
I just got an understanding of this thing now you're talking. Because I was looking at say waterfall. It doesn't make sense to me. I never see these steps. The steps until when you show me just like a staircase, and I start seeing steps in the waterfall there. I never see it. I just say water falling down. Well, I don't understand what it means. It doesn't mean where it came from that, but that name alone has given up because it is not possible that water will fall down here and go back again. It keeps falling down.
Keeps going down.
Yeah, I have seen this. In fact, this is just a system I grew up. This is a system we practice in Nigeria.
Yes.
In the university where I lecture before I came in, this is a system we run. Bureaucracy. Yes. In fact, it used to be painful. Unless you say you get legs, you say you get legs. For something like that. Person, you are connected. You break the protocols. Something like that. So I used to see bureaucracy sometimes. I begin to wonder what is the usefulness of this. I don't understand. Something that we should do, work effectively, save time, save cost, and then you drag it here. This person have not signed. They are signed. You must endorse. You have to endorse. They carry. Sometimes it will be on somebody's table.
For
stay there for 1 month.
Just doing nothing.
That kind of thing. As sensitive as it may be, that kind of thing, because there's no competitiveness. Because if there's a big competition,
yes, of course,
those ideas or those products you want to release, where you kept those in there, somebody have already produced it. By the time you come, you've lost it.
Yes,
you've lost it.
Just like what happened to the car the Tata want to launch. Somebody already went ahead of them, thereby making them to lose a lot of millions of pounds.
You see. So it is the bureaucratic nature of it. I think it's not. I'm beginning to like the Agile because I'm seeing the lapses here. Although and people, like for instance, people back home, they see this particular thing as that's our strength in trying to be bureaucratic. It's our strength. And again, when they first of all go into development before they go into testing, which of course that development is it a mass production, or they just produce a little, do the testing before they go into, because what it means is that if they go into the mass production before they come down to that doing testing, one, they're going to test everything, of course. But if they test and find out that all the mass production they have done, there's an error somewhere. So does it mean they're going to take back everything and go back and start reinstalling them? It may cost them. I've seen where they revoking back some vehicles. You say got about 2,000, 5,000. This model, if you bought it, bring it back, or
So that's very
expensive. That's very expensive.
Becomes in that case, it becomes another project altogether. If you need that kind of change, But if it's gone to the market and then they are discovering fault. They are discovering fault. So definitely they need to recall the cars or whatever they produced and then start all over again if need be. But some cases they will know where to go and fix. So, but if it's a project that now need to start all over again because you made the step from the beginning, yes, just need, time, money, everything have been wasted.
Yeah.
But not to talk about this, not to Waterfall is still being deployed. It's still working well for maybe government parastatals and especially in defense. Defense, if they don't follow Waterfall, things will fall apart.
Yes, I agree.
Because Waterfall is rigid. Also in drug making, pharmaceutical, it has to be mainly Waterfall. X plus X must always be something. There's this thing. If you go to the lab, if you mix hydrogen plus oxygen, you must always get water. If you get something near water, no. So that's why I say Waterfall is still very much there, but typically most organizations are shifting away from it, but the core one that still use it are still very much in it. The construction, even some civil engineering company, but pharmaceuticals and government parastatals and like aerospace and so they are still functioning on high level of Waterfall. So what do you take it away from there?
Yes, I agree. You know also that I think where Waterfall is very, very, just as you said, it's very, very necessary that you apply something as very, very sensitive that any mistake or the protocols being jumped that devastating, maybe life-threatening. That's right. But the areas, especially the areas where there's going to be you are creating a product, a tangible product. That is where. But if you're providing services, you are advisory and some of those things, it may not really be a problem. They may still keep on with that. I enjoy this. I have a deeper knowledge of it now.
Yeah. So benefits of Waterfall model of this thing is just straightforward things like it has though they say it's straightforward planning, but sometimes it could be so cumbersome. So when you're deploying in Waterfall, the planning is said to be like mostly straightforward, where you say we have 6 months, we have this amount, we have this capability. Let's go and do it. In most cases, so it's like a straightforward a design due to agreement on deliverables. So we agree that at the end of 1 month, we must have finished must have left this phase. So, for example, if you have the phases now, like this one did here. So here you can see 1 to 2 months cut off, then 3 to 4 months, 2 to 3 months, 1 to 2 months. So it's like cast in stone. So you don't want to pass that. And that comes about when supposedly you know all about the whole project, you have all the resources, and you know that it won't change. So, for example, if you are talking about pharmaceutical environment, you have a controlled environment. You have for example, when they were looking for COVID-19 virus, let's say virus, vaccine, they put the scientists in a lab. They had the food, they had the money, they had everything, they already have everything that they needed in supply. There won't be any surprises. There won't be any surprise that something went out of this thing. No, they had everything going. So just the same way in army, for there to be a successful deployment, you need your weapons, you need if your weapons suddenly go to finish in the place of war, you are finished.
Mm.
So there's that there's that knowledge, or there's that this thing that we will always have supply. We always have this. So it's like a controlled environment. Then there's supposedly what we call better design with old system approach. Just like the first one, I must tell you, better design. So we've talked about it as well here, what we said about design. So the first phase, when you gather your requirements, you do analysis, then you now design again. This is like a robust way of validating what you've analyzed here and you've designed. Here too, you can see requirement gathering, use case, functionality. You design again. So it helps you analyze, then you now design. It assumed that these two pro, process make you to see everything that you want to see. But again, you may not see everything depending on kind of project again. So then another one, they said divine scope of work. Yes, everybody has their own scope of work. Everybody has their own scope of work. So it's not, prognose into another person's work. So you can see here, project manager, the client, team, project manager, client, architects, team, and client. So here too, I think there should be project manager here, because it must be involved in the last thing to
Yes.
because he started it. You should be. So everybody has their clear role called and this thing, and they could now work in silos, what we call working in silos, which can also kill the project. They don't communicate well with each other. I just do my part and you don't do your part. If I make mistake, the mistake keeps on going. Once one person makes mistake, that it keeps on going. But yeah, easier costing. So easier costing again, even though the costing is easier, but at the end of the day, it might become more expensive because they don't always meet that costing. There's always need for extension. There's always need for So then we can have clear measure of progress. Again, this clear measure of progress again might not be good progress. For example, if the progress that we're after is okay, if you have missed this here, at the requirement gathering, instead of gathering 30 requirements, we gather 29 and we think we are okay. This thing will continue to boomerang till you come here. Before you now say, wow, what has happened? You now need to. So there's progress, but the progress is at the end of the day.
It's not complete progress.
So
and sometimes company know, by the time they have made mistake the first time, continue, they've known that they missed something, but they just say the people may not know. The end users may not really identify, and then they push it out. Sometimes through it, people will not know, or sometimes it will come back again.
Yeah, so you can you have well-defined team rules. So just like I said, everybody does their, just like this one too. Everybody does their role and they answer, which is pretty good for Waterfall. Then we have dedicated resource. Dedicated resource can work in parallel for the specific task. So everybody can work alongside. This one work this one does this one, and everybody answer. Though they say those are part of what makes Waterfall what it is. Then the limitation or disadvantage of Waterfall is what? The inflexibility to changes.
Yes.
It doesn't allow for changes. Changes are really hard for it. So once it takes in your requirement, you need to go along with it like that, because there's minimal client collaboration. Then it so happens that you can detect late detection of issues. Just like we said, can detect issues late.
It happens to be the customers who identify, oh, this thing was doing like this. The issue they have, it is very late when they identified it.
Yeah, and that's because there's limited customer engagement, which now result in poor satisfaction. Because you are pushing it on the customer. You're not taking it from them. You say, okay, this. So, and then Waterfall assumes requirements are fully understood, which may not be the case in every instance. So it works on the assumption that all requirements are fully understood. We understand everything we're going to do from A to Z. So let's carry on. Then it has a high risk and quite uncertainty, high level of uncertainty. So if you're planning for 6 months, and what about if, for example, you want to build a road and you've marked 6 months? And then typically, what about if there's natural disaster, there's something else that happen, if government policy to change, or something just happen when you are carrying out the whole this thing. So all that should be factored in, but they don't factor in that. They don't factor in what they are going to do. Then sequential approach is not ideal for large size projects where the end result is too far. So when the end date is too far, and you want to use waterfall, you may lose track of what you are doing. We have not delivered anything at all. We are looking for 2015, 2030. Before you know what's happening, you don't even know what you are doing again. If care is not taken, but if you have been delivering in chalk basis, you have said, okay, based on what we have delivered, this is what we are going to deliver next. So it could so happen that you lose track. Just like HS2 now is a very good example. I don't even know that the government, they know what they are doing again, because the new government, they don't even care about it, because they're not the same government, and the same project, those ones are so. Because it's a long-term project, and everybody, if it has been a short-term project, they will have if conservatives are finishing before they swept them out, at least. But now labor is not even going there at all. Despite all the billions that have been wasted. Testing is done only at the later phase of the project. So this again, some say it might be a good thing, but typically when you leave testing to when everything is done, you now discover that. So there was a time my team we got drafted to test a website for a client. And before we started to test the website, we told the client that, how come you built your website without even having a team in place to check? He just gave some kind of excuse. So we now went in and then we did the first testing. Lo and behold, what we found out was that you can't even launch this website. And we now went back to him and his developer. We listed all that we got. That look, this is so full of error. It's so full of. They now told us that we should go and look throughout the website and bring out all the defect. We say, no, we don't work like that. This is an agile environment. What we will do is we'll work together. Your team will come, our team will come. If you discover something, we give it to you, you fix it, we test it again and say that is good, and we move on. They said, no. That's how we just ended it there. Till today, they couldn't launch the website. The whole over 150,000 pounds that was wasted.
So what they were requesting from your team is to do the waterfall, is that?
It's to do the whole testing, everything.
The waterfall.
Then we not give everything to them. They said, no, we can't do that.
The requirements.
Okay. We'll test what we want us to test. Maybe, for example, we can test the login functionality this time. We'll look at it. Then anything we find out, we'll push it to you. You fix it. Then we now do another test after that to see that everything is working. We now move on to the next one. But I said no. So no. Here again, the disadvantage is okay. This is coming twice. Sorry. Then there's documentation overload or overhead, which we'll talk about. Too many documentation. At the end of the day, nothing is being achieved. You write, you sign. So that's what makes Waterfall not so desirable again for most rapid product, most rapid developing product. The one that's still there that form the basis of life, military, government that can be so relaxed, and they're still using Waterfall, fine. But the one that they're making the money, they're up there, they're making life goes on. They have all embraced the agile way of working. But okay, we've gone through this. So when can we use Waterfall? I think we've been talking about this ever since.
Yes.
We can use Waterfall when all the requirements seems to be stable and not changing frequently, or not even changing at all. That's because even if they change slightly, the whole project changes. So when an application is small enough that you can quickly get everything together and then crack on. Or when you are mass producing. So somebody said babies are mass produced. That once Jesus Christ has designed the first baby, every one of us we are just being mass. when there is no requirement which is not understood, so we have been saying all of this. So every requirement is understood, which clearly cannot be.
Yeah.
The environment is stable. We talk about this in working in the pharmaceuticals and this and that. Once the environment is stable, and at times as well, it might not be stable. Something might go wrong, and then there's explosion. Even I'm sure this COVID-19 is because of the unstable environment. That's how the something got leaked out. So even in controlled environment can have some kind of mistakes. So the tools and techniques used is stable and not dynamic again. So all the machines are well known and this, but in life it keeps changing. Resources are well defined and are available. Then there's fixed cost and timeline. So we have 6 months, we have 200,000 budget, and that's what we're going to spend. That's when we can use Waterfall or model that will suffice us. So basically, that's what the whole story of Waterfall. So in conclusion, Waterfall model is very important to take the sign off. So sign off is very important in Waterfall. So without sign off, you are doing yourself a disarm. At least
what could happen when there's no sign off? Is it that people that are agreed that this is what we are going to do, they will deny or what?
No, it depends. Not that they will just want to deny. Not that anybody will just want to deny this, but if something happened that caused them to now deny, you have not safeguarded yourself. They will just go to court. They will just go to court. But not that they will just intentionally want to deny. We just sorry, I forgot to. But this is what we say. No, just add it. Just add it. No, we cannot add it because we have signed. So but if you have not signed, if you have just been verbal, say, can you just add it? You'll be forced to go and add it because you've not added written this in it. Say, and it will cost you to go and add it. So for you to safeguard yourself, to cover your cost, to cover this, you now need to sign to say, based on what we signed on the 9th of this, and that this is the requirement, you all understand it, and now you want to change it. So we need to change the cost, we need to change this one, we need to change that one. It's not like they will just intentionally want to do that because you did not sign it. No, it's over time. I'm sure before they don't used to sign, but over time, they now saw that, if you don't keep signing this thing, this will keep falling. The Waterfall model still holds good for small projects, government project, and rigid project like the main military, where you obey the last command. There's no this thing. Obey the last command. Soldier go, soldier come. Soldier go, soldier come. So, then, however, Waterfall is a more traditional approach, but it does not mean that it is still obsolete, though it may not be the right approach to deliver your product. That is why we will be looking at Agile next week. So Waterfall is still being used for, this was taken in 2022 by PMI. Traditional Waterfall project, it still has the higher percentage of 56%. Agile is 22. Hybrid is 19. Others are 3%. So Waterfall is still much in existence. It's still pretty much used. The big contract, they trying to thrive on Waterfall. But even the Waterfall they are saying, you find out that there's a lot of agility in them now.
Yes.
It's not just strictly Waterfall. They may say it's Waterfall, but when you start to do your thing, you find out that Agile has really crept in.
Yeah. And I think it cannot be up to, it may be less than 50% if you do it in the recent time.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, because the way I'm seeing Agile, many people are just creeping into it in numbers.
So yeah, people are getting into it. So that's what it is today for us to just go over. So next week we'll be looking at Agile to see in comparison what Agile is all about.